Hi, I'm Julieanne Kost. In the next few minutes, we're going to see how easy it is to remove distractions and unwanted elements using the Generative Remove tool in Camera Raw. I can tap B or click on the eraser icon to access the new Remove options. The clone and heal modes work the same as in previous versions, but when I click on the Remove icon, we see several new options. Now, we can still use the Remove mode without using Generative AI. When I paint over these small rocks in the pathway, Camera Raw quickly fabricates completely new pixels to replace the unwanted areas. And it does so locally, without requiring an internet connection. To remove larger areas, I'll enable Generative AI. Then I'll paint over this rock and this grassy area. And when I release the cursor, Camera Raw will display a red overlay of the masked area and display the mask refinement options. I can click on the color swatch to change the color of the mask, and add to or subtract from the masked area. I'll choose Add and paint to include this area as well. Then I'll click Apply, and Camera Raw will generate 3 versions of the area that I want to remove using Adobe Firefly Generative AI. Now, Generative AI does require internet connectivity because it performs its computations in the cloud. I'll click through the 3 variations and choose the one that I like best. If I wanted to create alternate variations, I could click Refresh. Next, let's also paint over these rocks, and then I'll choose Apply. Now for time's sake, in the rest of the video, I'll speed up the rendering. Then I'll select the variation that looks the best. Next, let's remove these rusted pieces of metal. I'll go ahead and paint over them, and then I'll choose Apply and choose a variation. Then I'll continue by painting over the pipe in order to remove it. It's important that I also paint over the shadow and click Apply, and just like that, it's removed. There's also an Object Aware option. Similar to Object Selection in masking, this feature helps detect objects. I'll quickly paint around these steps, and when I release the cursor, Object Aware detects the object and then extends the masked area, adding a buffer around the object that it will use to blend the newly created information and make it look natural. I can click Apply, and then we'll choose one of the variations. Next, let's see if Camera Raw can identify this addition as an object. Excellent. I'll just add in this area and click Apply. And then I think I'll select this variation. Okay, let's disable Object Aware, and this time when I paint over the chimney, if I prefer to bypass the mask refinement state, I can hold the Command key on Mac or the Control key on Windows and paint with a brush. Then as soon as I release the cursor, Camera Raw will begin generating the information. All right, I'll zoom in, and you may have noticed that the blue in the sky isn't blending well. Let's move to the masking options. We can see that I've already applied an AI-generated sky mask to this image. If I click on the 3 dots and choose to update all AI masks, Camera Raw will update the mask based on the new information created by the Remove tool, and the blending will be fixed. So it might be wise to use the Remove tools before you do your masking to avoid having to update the masks. Next, let's batch remove a number of objects. I'll start by painting over these wires, and I'll be sure to include their shadows. Then I'll add this metal area, plus these distracting little elements, and then I can click Apply. When you're masking areas that are distinct, meaning that they're not connected to the original area that you painted, in this case the wires, Camera Raw automatically separates them into their own spots with their own pins before creating the fill information. This allows Generative Fill to process each spot separately and create a higher quality result. When I click through the variations, notice that only the initial wire area is replaced. But we can see these additional pins have been added, and if I select one of them and go back to the variations, we can see that it has its own. Finally, let's remove this stuff in the window, and then we can choose our variation. Excellent. I'll use the eye icon to toggle without and with the removed areas. One tip with regards to batch processing before we wrap up. First, when working with multiple images that have similar content, we can add a Generative AI Remove spot, and then we can choose to copy selected edit settings. I'll check None, and then select Remove, and then Copy. I'll move to the next image, and when I choose Paste Edit Settings, we can see that Camera Raw has pasted the AI Generative Remove spots, but it hasn't auto-updated them. This gives us the opportunity to update all of the settings as they are, or we can reposition the spots if something's moved in your image and then update them. Likewise, we can batch remove spots by selecting several images and then painting in one image to remove the spot. Just like using the copy and paste command, the AI generated spots that are created in the other selected images won't be automatically updated, allowing you to reposition them as necessary. As you may have noticed, the generative AI feature is labeled as early access because it's still in development. Please use the feedback link to share any comments or concerns with the team. I'm Julieanne Kost. Thanks for watching.